Hello everyone, my name is Ruth Litwin and I am part of the Producers Network at KCAT Las Gatas TV station. And we have an amazing interview today with our guest, Saul Dreier, who presently lives in Coconut Creek, Florida, and was born in Krakow, Poland. And the story goes on from there. Last year, I also sit on the board of the Jewish Silicon Valley Film Festival. We aired a documentary called Saul and Ruby, Holocaust Survivor Band. And it's an extraordinary story of an 89-year-old man who has a vision and a passion on making a difference. And he decided to start a band. And with that, the airing of the documentary was riveting, and we did a post-interview. And before I started asking Saul and Ruby questions about their journey in this documentary, I knew that Saul was from Krakow, Poland. And I asked Saul before the interview, Saul, perhaps the name Michael Chopnik sounds familiar because my father was from Krakow, Poland before the war. Well, a miracle happened. When I told Saul that story, he said, "What? Michal was your father? I grew up with your father, and we lived doors away from each other in Krakow, Poland." I can't begin to tell you the tears and the joy and the opportunity to learn things that I never knew. Both my mother and father are Holocaust survivors. They were liberated from the camp in 1945, Bergen-Belsen. And when the British liberated the camp, they rebuilt the camp and it became a refugee, deep displaced persons camp. Hospitals were built, 2 hospitals actually, and couples got married, children were born. I was one of the 5,000 children that was born in Bergen-Belsen DP camp from 1945 to 1950. So the story of second generation and the continuing story that we hope to reach out to all the populations to have a continuing legacy is why we are here today. And so now I am going to introduce you to Saul Dreier, who has been with us for the past week. We performed a concert on Sunday with Saul. Over 300 people participated. And while Saul has been a guest at my husband's, our home, we have also spoken to several schools about Saul's journey. And so Saul, now I'm going to ask you to talk to our viewing public about how you started your journey with the Holocaust Survivor Band.
Okay. Well, first of all, my name is Saul Dreier. I'm 97 years old. I live in the United States that I love. And also, I've got 4 children. I have 8 great children, 2 adopted, and I've got 3 great-grandchildren. My family is spread all over the world almost. But let me start with me. Maybe sometime about the interview I will be continue with my family. I work very hard for my during time being in America. I was raising a family. I have children. And I was living in New Jersey. My wife took sick with her vertical veins, and the doctor suggested my wife should travel to a warm climate, and we decided to move to Florida. In Florida, I was working a little bit till I retired. I retired, and I was 89 years old. I was sitting one morning and watching on the computer the news, and I saw an essay of a woman, 106 or 108 years old, I don't remember. She was a Holocaust survivor, She was liberated in Theresienstadt, and she was a wonderful piano player. And she was living in London, and she was playing every day afternoon for the friends or for her neighbors, and she passed away. 350 million people just in the United States. Nobody thought to put together something that's going to make so much interest, going to be successful, very successful. I thought how to put together a Holocaust survivor band. And I listened to her story, and I told myself, I have to do this in her name. I'm a Holocaust survivor. I was living in 3 concentration camps till I got liberated. And she was living in a propaganda concentration camp to show the world how the Germans treat all the people that took over during the World War II, Jews, non-Jews, everybody.
And you're talking about Theresienstadt.
Correct. Anyway, I was thinking about it, and I told myself I had to put together a Holocaust survivor band. I wake up my wife and says, Clara, I read something on a tube, and I told her the story. I would like to put together a Holocaust survivor band. So my wife says, Saul, you're crazy, period. When she said I'm crazy, I didn't pay too much attention. This was on a Thursday. Saturday, I went to the services for Shabbat, and we had services. After the services, I'm sitting next to my rabbi, and I think I'm going to ask him his opinion. So I said, Rabbi Henry, I would like to ask you something. I want your opinion. And I told him the same story I told my wife. So he was a Holocaust survivor child, so he spoke a little with the accent. So he says, Saul, you're 89 years old. You've 10 years retired, or 12, I don't remember. He says, what do you need it for? You're crazy. And this got me right into my heart. I said, oh no, I said. 2 people told me I'm crazy. On the contrary, I'm going to do it. Monday morning, I took a blank check. I went into a store where they sell music store by name Sam Ash. They're all over the United States. And I walked in. I said, could I talk to the manager? Because I didn't know how to go about it. They introduced me to the manager. I said, mister, I would like to buy a set of drums. He says, you? Set of drums? He's looking at me, are you a musician? I said, I don't know, but I would like to buy a set of drums. So he says, what do you want? So I said, show it to me. I went through the drums, and I said, I would like to have a full set. So he says, yes, I'm going to give you a 5-piece set, plus you can buy some accessories. And he gave me a whole package, and I paid close to $800, I don't remember. So I said, fine. I said, here's the check. They gave me a bill and everything. And I load up my drums. I load up on drums. They gave me the instruction how to put together everything. I went over with them. I spent approximately an hour and a half. And I'm ready. I'm sitting in my car, driving. I tell myself, here goes a proud musician playing drums. I come home. I park the car. I live in a condominium, so I live on the 4th floor. So I go upstairs. My wife is with an aide, and the aide sits by her. You know, they talk. She was dressed. Where were you? So I said, well, I tell you to tell my wife, I went shopping. Oh, my God, took you so long. What did you buy? As a fact, darling, I tell you something. I bought you a present. She said, you must be kidding. What is it? Oh, 1 second. The present is big. If you want to see it, you have to come downstairs to the car. My wife was very intelligent, very smart. She smelled something, so she says, I'm dressed, let's go. We're going down, the car stays, I open the doors, I open the trunk. She says, oh my God! So I say, why are you yelling? She says, very simple. Either you go, or the drums go. I was very, very upset. Finally, I make up with my wife. I told her I want to keep the drums in the house. I'm going to put him in a warehouse. We got this little bins where we live, and don't worry, I won't mess up the house. So she agreed. She agreed. Meanwhile, I had to do something. I got set of drums, and I don't know what to do. So I go to my rabbi. I said, Rabbi, I would like to rent the synagogue, which we had a synagogue, and next to it we had a reception place where we could sit by 500 people. He bought a building and reconditioned it to synagogues and churches where he was renting. So she says, fine, I can give it, but Saul, it's going to cost money. I said, I understand. You have to get a soundman, we have to set up chairs, we have to clean up the place. I said, Rabbi, whatever going to cost, I'm going to give it to you. He says, how much going to charge for tickets? So I said, Rabbi, here's the trick. I won't charge nothing for tickets. He says, why? Because I says, if I got charged for ticket, nobody going to show up. It's going to be free. People going to come. And that's what happened. We advertised an international concert. I hired musicians. Some of them were Holocaust survivors. Some of them were children from Holocaust survivors. And my rabbi was renting another church next door to a Brazilian church. So I spoke to the pastor and asked him if he would be willing to lend me his orchestra. He said, willing. He told me how much he gonna charge me. I took care of everything. On the stage, we had two orchestras, a Mexican orchestra and a Jewish international, and we gave the name International Concert free of charge. And what I did, I engaged my wife, and I told her, Clara, next Sunday, we're gonna have a concert. I want you to come. You know, I'm playing, I'm going to show you how I play, maybe you like it, don't like it, and somehow I convinced her to come to my concert. And it happened, instead to have 100 people, I had over 450 people showed up. And I set my wife in the front of the stage with the 8, and she brought along with her girlfriend and my daughter. And they're all sitting in the front, 5 people. I'm on the stage, and we were practicing before, you know, had a rehearsal, and we start to play the concert. It took us 1 hour and 10 minutes to finish. We finished with a God Bless America. When we finish, everybody finished. I wanted to put together my drums, everything. So my wife made with the finger like this to me. So I said, what do you want? I said, come on down. I come down to my wife, and she tells me, Saul, I'm living with you 51 years. I didn't believe. Today, you are my celebrity. When she told me that, I became a celebrity. And that's how I started the Holocaust Survivor Band.
And Saul, I have a question for you also. When you knew you wanted to start the band, share with us what your goal was.
My goal was to help Holocaust survivors who are underprivileged, who are sick. I wanted to put together young people with the older people to know there was a Holocaust, and I wanted to fight anti-Semitism. These were the 3 items I was really interested.
And another one was where you wanted to go and play.
I
you
wanted
were
to
raising money for a special trip.
Yes,
Anywhere.
I wanted to go and go play. I says, I want to make sure that I can go to Poland where I was born, and I would like to play there because I would like to play for the 6 million people who perished through Hitler's years in the war. And this was my aim. And it happened. I got a voice break through a woman from Brooklyn that asked for my card, and she engaged me to play in Las Vegas in the Venetian Hotel. They were honoring this Sheldon Adelson, and with Dudu Fisher, who was artist from Israel. And I came there. I don't want to make a short story long. We had a concert there. He had a concert I went down, Ruby went down with his daughter and a guitarist. I had the drum set up there. We started to play without a rehearsal with Dodo Fischer. He took a chair, a bar chair, sat with us, and he started to sing, Bells, mein State, alle bells. This was the song, and we continue. After we finished, we got a standing ovation. We got off the stage, and he continued with his concert. And since then, the whole sky opened for the Holocaust Survivor Band.
And tell us about your experience when you got to Poland.
Well, when I got to Poland, I was in Poland with my wife before I had the Holocaust Survivor Band. Then I went to Poland with the band, but not a whole band, a little band. My people was Hannah, 1, Ruby, 2, Jeff, 3, and I was 4. We came to Poland. I was interviewed by the television and all over, and finally show a man by the Munoz Staszek. I don't know who he was. He was the leading singer of Warsaw in Poland, and he agreed to play with us. He brought his orchestra. The people that took us to Poland had another orchestra, and we were separate. And we all went all on the stage. They were honoring the righteous people who saved Jews during the war. And the concert was free, and we had 3,700 people outside the ghetto wall playing. A concert took 3.5 hours.
And after the concert and the people that you spoke to, what were they saying to you, your audience? And you were playing with what you described as the Bono of Poland.
Correct.
He was a superstar celebrity.
They were talking, first of all, Munoz Staszek was playing with me, and we brought on the stage the righteous people. So one was his birthday, so we were also singing in Polish, 100 lat, 100 lat he should live, because this man saved 15 Jewish people in his factory. Instead of go to concentration camp, he kept them and they survived.
Share a little bit about your experience during the war, Saul, where you were.
During the war, I lived in 3 concentration camps. My first concentration camp was Krakow Plaszów, when I was 16 and a half. From then, I was shipped to Schindler's concentration camp, where there were 3 factories: Schindler's factory, then factory that I work, NKF, and also a mill that they were coding lumber, for barracks in Plaszów. Over there, I was over a year working as a welder. I was welding the radiators for the Messerschmitt, for the German airplanes. From there, they rounded us up, and they liquidated the concentration camp, and they liquidated at the same time the Plaszów camp. And they loaded us up on the trains. A whole day was in August, was very hard, and Schindler came out and gave an order to spray hoses on the cattle cars. We should cool off. You can see this, if somebody saw this film, you can see this scene, how they spraying water on us, and maybe over 120 cattle cars. And they loaded up. Schindler saved 1,400 people from his factory, and they were on the end of the train. And the train took off in the evening. We were traveling, we arrived to Auschwitz. We arrived to Auschwitz, we were sitting on the main line on the railroad, and they uncoupled the few cattle cars with the people that were selected for Schindler's factory, and they were separate, and we were standing. Meanwhile, there was a war in Russia, and a lot of wounded soldiers were coming to be recuperated to Germany, and they needed the truck to pass it by. So right away, 2-3 hours later, the train took off. We were riding a whole day, a whole night, and a whole day till we arrived to Mauthausen. And this was my first experience in a big, my Plaszow concentration was big, but this was entire different concentration camp. This one had diplomats, this had prisoners, this had everything, German mixed people from the whole world. And that they was occupied by the Germans. And over there we came, I was completely undressed, completely the way I was born, and they gave me a pair of pajamas. They gave me a pair of pajamas, so all of a sudden they gave an order, the people that were dressed in pajamas have to go to work. So I went to work with a friend of mine. We were going down 183 steps to a stone quarry, and everybody had to pick up a stone and carry back up 183 steps up to the concentration camp. I tell you that this was one of my biggest nightmares. Why? I was young, I had friends, but all the people were with me. They had to carry those stones, and on the way up, many of them dropped the stones and either fainted or I don't know what happened. Finally, I worked a whole day and I worked a few times with the stones. The second thing, the same thing, till I talked to my friend, I says, listen, this is it. Either I die, either something happened, but I can't do it no more, carry the stones. So he says, you know, Saul, we have to do something. So I says, I got an idea. Let's get completely undressed nude, take the pajama throw to the sewer, because, you know, there was no toilet facilities, so there was a sewer and everybody was taking care of themselves. And I threw this to the sewer. It was 12 o'clock at night, probably. And since then I was walking around nude. They don't want to take me. But God help us, 2 days later, trucks arrived with the uniforms that the prisoners were wearing. So we all received uniforms, and we didn't work no more until they started to separate all the Jewish people. They sent them to 4 or 5 different concentration camps. And after, of course, I didn't know nothing about it, but now I know the names and everything. They sent them to Melk, Ebensee, Steiger, and Linz. And one more, I don't remember the name. I was fortunate enough because I was a welder. They sent me to Linz, because in Linz there was a factory, Hauptwerkstätte in Linz, and then needed welders. So this camp had a few welders, people who really had to do with iron, and I was shipped to this concentration camp, and from there I was going to work every day to the factory. Of course, if they were bombing, we had to go in to the bunkers, but I was working there, and over there I had a little better life. I don't say a better life, it was better for me because this factory, for good people, they were working very well, and they were fabricating, you know, they were productive. They were paying us by cigarettes. I was 18 years old. I didn't smoke cigarettes. So somehow I found there was a foreman there. He said me, you're going to give me cigarettes. I'm going to give you a piece of bread. I'm getting packages from my home, a piece of cake, maybe a piece of meat. And somehow, every 2 weeks I was getting paid by cigarettes. I gave him the cigarettes, and that's how I survived.
And Saul, tell us a little bit more now about almost the liberation.
Yes.
And where that journey took you.
Well, I was working Hauptwerkstätte. I'm getting cigarettes every 2 weeks. I didn't have no pockets in my uniform, so I was between my two legs, I was carrying the cigarettes. Somehow, my capo, we had a capo on my last barrack in the concentration
Saul,
camp.
will you describe a capo? I don't
Yes,
know if
I
everybody
am
knows
describing.
what a capo
My
is.
capo was a politician prisoner. In this concentration camp, everybody had and here carrying a triangle. The Jewish people had yellow. The politicians have red. The murderers had black. The saboteurs had purple, and also the internationals, like from Poland, from Hungary, or from Italy, had green. This was the colors that we had in the whole concentration camp. The concentration camp had probably over 2,000 people, I think. I am not sure. Well, every day we were marching to work. I was going, and through the time, every 2 weeks, I was bringing the cigarettes to the capo. He was a capo. And one day, he says, when you're going to come with the cigarettes, I don't want you walk into my quarters. You people got lice, you dirty. I want you to hand it to me just before the quarters, the cigarettes. I did it once or twice. The third time or fourth time at the port, the rain was impossible, was raining. And he didn't want to come out, so he stood opened the door and called me inside. Because the door was, by the door, the rain was coming down. I came inside and gave him the cigarettes. So he didn't have a heart to let me out because it was raining terrible. So I was hanging around there, just staying and looking, watching. In one wall, there was a little shelf, and on the shelf was laying a Jewish trumpet, which is, we call it the shofar. This is the most holy thing in the Jewish, after the Torah, is the shofar, because we blow this for Jewish New Year, and we blow this also for the Jewish day where we feast 24 hours.
It's the ram's horn.
Right.
Right.
That is a horn. And I look at it. So he says, what are you looking at? So I says, I'm looking on the horn that's on your shelf. He says, Mr. Saul, I'm going to tell you something. Someday, this horn going to save a lot of people. Got into one ear, come another. What he's talking about, with a war and everything, how a Jewish horn, a holy thing can save. Would you believe it that 10 days before the Americans came to liberate us, my factory was bombed, and we never went to work. So we were staying in camp, and they decided to make groups of 100 survivors that worked in this factory and take us on a railroad station to repair the railroad, because the American or the Russian boat were bombing there almost every day, because they wanted the supplies to go to the front. They wanted to finish the German. And one day we going there in the morning, and 3 bombs comes down, and out of my group, we were 100 people, 50 got killed immediately. There were many wounded, the rest of us, nobody was, maybe 2-3 people, nothing happened to him. I was wounded too. I lost a finger, I was wounded my hand, I had a shrapnel in the back, and I've got a shrapnel in my head. But I could walk, my knee hurt me because I jumped to a pit where they repaired the locomotives, and the pit, and I covered myself, so I got hit on the hand. The shrapnels, the pieces of the bomb were all over. And they made us walk back to the concentration camp, the people that could walk. So from 100, maybe 35, 40 walked back. We came to the concentration camp, so what they did take the wounded people. What happened in the concentration camp was another camp that riot with electric riot, and over there they brought Polish people from Warsaw who were fighting on the ground to this camp, maybe about 500 Polish prisoners. And also, whoever was wounded, they throw him there. This was an inside camp that they were starving people. They didn't kill them, they didn't burn them, nothing. They had to naturally be was starved till they die. And I was there. I told myself, this is it. This is the end. Somehow, some way, somebody helped me. I don't know. I believe God helped me. My capo passed by, and I was staying by the wire, looks what's going on, if I can escape or something. He says, what are you doing here? So I tell him, I don't know. He stopped. He told the guard, who was a SS soldier, to open, and he pulled me out. He pulled me out. I was bleeding and everything, and 2 or 3 days he was holding me behind his barracks, and eventually 3 prisoners escaped. When the 3 prisoners escaped, the German commander of the concentration camp was very upset, because if Hitler would find out, they could have put him away or put him in jail, because such a thing was one of the voices thing. 3 prisoners should escape from a concentration camp. But he was very upset, the commander. Following morning, he puts us in a line outside in a place, and he started to count us. They counted everybody. They saw that 3 people are missing. So he decided, he took all the soldiers who are older men, and they were walking us away from the concentration camp. He punished us, he wanted to punish us, and we didn't know why. Eventually, I was in the last barracks, so we were the last one. And as we walking, my capo had a little rucksack, how you say it?
Backpack. Mm-hmm.
And I didn't know nothing about it. What he carried there, nobody pay attention. We're walking. We're coming to a big mountain and a cave. And over there started a commotion. Why? Because the 3 escapees knew already. They were in contact with the capos. They were in contact with the outside world. They had the guns already, and started make a big commotion. But the Germans were yelling to people to go inside, and a few hundred people went into the cave. And the capo turns to me, he says, Saul, here's the horn that you look at, you better blow it. I didn't know how to blow a horn. I never blow a horn in my life. I was almost over 18 years old, almost 19, and started to blow the horn, and was a commotion. People started to escape from the, from the cave. Meanwhile, I gave up. I gave him the horn, and I escaped too. I walked back. As I'm walking, but 3, 4, 5 minutes later, I don't remember, the cave blew out. How many people got killed? How many I saved? I don't know till today. I never saw the capo no more. I don't know if he was Jewish, if he was German. I don't nothing. I went on the street. I saw the Americans are coming. They're coming. They stop with the tanks, with the jeeps. I saw a guy with a red cross. Amen. I walked to him, and I said, he speaks a little German. He spoke. He was from New York. He was a soldier. And I told him who I was, and Jewish. He understood me. And I showed him that I'm wounded and everything. He went to his superior, who was also Jewish probably. He told him, you take this man to the hospital, operate him, make sure he was all right. If we leave tomorrow, we're going to stay overnight, but we leave tomorrow, make sure that he's taken care of. So meanwhile, there was a house there. There were already a few Holocaust survivors mingled among the Americans. He took me to the house, and the German people that were giving out food. So I got a piece of bread, I got a piece of meat, and I ate it. He waited when I finished eating. He took a driver, and the driver drove me to the hospital. I went to the hospital. They could put me on the anesthesia. I know nothing about it. I don't remember zero. And when I woke up, I was bandaged on my hand. I was bandaged on both hands. I had a patch here and nothing on the head. And he went, took me to a place so I can stay, and he took a picture. This picture I still got in the house. I made it bigger. Whoever comes to my house has to see the picture with me wounded, with the uniform, and that's how I survive. From there on, I was working on I gathered already with a few Holocaust survivors. A truck pulled in and asked us who we are. We told them. The truck had, the soldiers had a Jewish star on the side of the uniform. So I said, the Jewish star, so I asked him, are they Jewish? They says, yeah, we Israelis. We're fighting with the English together. We stole a few trucks. We want to take you someplace to a better place that you can recuperate it. And they took us to Italy, down to Italy, past Bari, past Barletta. They called the place Santa Maria de Bani, Santa Maria de Luca. They joined the Jewish agents in America, make a deal with the two cities to bring us and help us to recuperate it. And I was living in Italy 5 years before I came to the United States. That's it.
And here is your story. And you came to the United States. You met Clara, your wife.
Correct.
And then your journey from your raising your children, your career, and then your passion for
music.
Music.
Because my father was a musician too. My father played piccolo, clarinet, and saxophone. He was playing on weddings. He was playing on bar mitzvahs, and any occasion that he could play. Besides that, he was an officer in the Polish army.
And we have been to several schools in the Valley, and Saul has shared his story. And many of the questions that the children are asking, how old were you when you started to play drums?
Well, I was, as a matter of fact, I tell you the truth, I would like to surprise you with something. Being in the concentration camp, we have a man who sang. He was a singer. And this man was singing every day that we were coming from work. And I was laying on the table and listening with the guys that they were singing. And I saw something was missing. And this was in Schindler's factory. I don't remember where, in the Schindler and Płaszów. I had a friend, a Gentile, who was working in a factory, and he was helping me with bread, with everything. He had his lacquer there, and I had the combination. But I could have gone only to his lacquer on a Friday, because Friday there were no Germans there. You understand? So he was safe that they won't catch me there, do something harm to me. So I said to him, Staszek, I need a spoon. I got an old wooden stoop, and I can't eat the soup what they gave us. So he says, Friday, go to the thing, you're going to find a spoon. So instead to give me one, he gave me 2 spoons. Those are the replicas. 2 spoons I had. So as I was laying on the bridge and listening how they sing, I took the 2 spoons and put it like this in my hand, and
the replica needs to be.
It's hard to, you know.
Yeah.
Let me do it. Okay. And they were singing. All right, and I said, ra la 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 la, ra la 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 la, ra la 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 la, ra la 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 la, da da la 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 la. That's how I play, and this was my first experience with a written play, Two Spoons. Well, when I was liberated, I was in Italy in a DP camp. One morning arrives a truck, and the commander of this displaced person camp was a English officer. He made sure that we being entertained because we were the boys and girls. Every night we went to a hall and was singing. There was no music, no dancing, nothing. And they brought a truck. The truck brought a piano and a set of drums. So they unloaded in the place, and we come in the evening. The commander comes in. He asks, who knows how to play piano? So one guy right away put his hand. He says, the piano is yours. You play because you people gonna entertain yourself. Who was willing to play the drums? There was nobody. Nobody wanted to touch the drum. Till finally I said, I am willing to play the drums because I was playing the spoon. So I figured out maybe I will be able to somehow play the drums. And I volunteer. When I volunteer, I got together with the guy that played the piano. And every night we were playing. He was playing dancing music, and I play boom, boom, boom. I learned how to play the drums. Eventually, one night we're playing. As we're playing, he falls down on the how you call it, on the piano. I got scared. I thought he died. So he had a wife. So wife ran to him, and she said, don't worry, he's got epilepsy. I didn't even know what epilepsy was. I was 18 and a half, 19 years old. So finally, I got used to it, and I was playing and learning how to play drums for a year and a half, maybe longer, maybe 2 years. Then I came to the United States, and I never touched a drums till I was 89 years old, when I told you that I put together the Holocaust Survivor Band. And somehow I became a master of the trade. I'm playing drums, I'm playing with orchestra, I learned how to dirigate, and I'm a full-fledged founder of a Holocaust Survivor Band. Finally, many Holocaust survivors passed away. I believe today, which if it's truth, I believe it, that I think I'm the oldest Holocaust survivor who still plays an instrument with a band. That's my story.
And Saul, there's a bit more to your story.
Yes.
Because as a Holocaust survivor and the people that you have met through all the cities and all the children that you have spoken to, one thing that you have shared, and I think really is important, that you survived through the most unimaginable horrors.
Correct.
Lost your family.
Correct.
But there was always some kindness from people who saved you. And an act of kindness is an important message for many of our youth today and for our people everywhere.
Well,
with respect and kindness, you will be able to overcome, and you have definitely shown that to us.
Well, I tell you what I did. I met certain people that were very good to me. I don't have no enemies. They love me, whatever I do, whatever I played. And I know a family, that one of the member of the family, a woman, helped me a lot. And she came with that idea we should put together a foundation. And she we got a foundation that we did it in Poland. She lives in Poland. And the foundation, they gave the foundation name under my name, Saul's Generation Foundation. The foundation is existing now. It's very young. We just open it. We have to sign papers, and the Polish agency approved it. Now we're gonna open the same foundation in America, so we can collect some money for certain causes, and those are the causes. Number one, I want to put together young people with older people. You should know there was a Holocaust in Europe. This is number one. Number two, I would like to do one thing. I would like to help Holocaust survivors continue what I'm doing. Number three, I want to make sure there won't be no anti-Semitism in how long I live and the whole world, because we all got the same heart beat in our body. We're all the same. White, black, red, green, doesn't matter. But we one people in the world. And number four, I would like to help the mentally sick. This is my aim. That's why I put together the foundation, and that's what I'm working on. And I'm knocking myself out. I'm going to play music till I die. And I want to make sure that somehow I can help the world. And I got a slogan. I got one slogan that I registered in my heart. Wherever I go, I say, people repeat after me. Never again. Never again. Never again. Thank you.
Saul, thank you. Your story is a living legacy. It will be shared and heard by many. And all that you are passionate about has now been heard. And I applaud you for your endurance, your spirit, your kindness.
Thank you.
And you have been a gift to us all.
Now, could I thank you for it? Ladies and gentlemen, whoever here, I found a good friend in Ruthie and her husband, Stanley. I didn't believe that I'm going to fly 3,000 miles from Florida to Silicon Valley and find such a beautiful people. I haven't got no more words. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
I love you, Mama.